along with the expected timelines for completion of such projects. Thirdly, outline any plans by the county government to carry out maintenance on the deteriorating roads with specific focus on inspection criteria for prioritizing repairs, including the expected timelines for the repair and rehabilitation of dilapidated roads. And last but not least, state measures put in place to ensure transparency, accountability in the use of funds earmarked for road projects in Samburu County, explaining how the county government verifies progress and adherence to project timelines. Senator Ezena Lemalitian, 1st of October. Thank you.
Senator Beth Siango.
Mr. Speaker, I request to read on her behalf as per her request. I proceed?
Proceed, Honorable Senator.
Thank you so much. On the registration and licensing of early childhood development education, ECDE centers. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education regarding the registration, licensing, governance, and management of early childhood development and education centers across the country. Mr. Speaker, while county governments are responsible for primary education, the registration, license, and management of ECDC centers remain under the national government. Though these functions should be devolved as provided for under Part 2 of the 4th Schedule of the Constitution. In the statement, the committee should, 1, examine the legality of certain centers of the Basic Education Act 2013, such as Section 17, which establishes county education boards as national government agencies. 2, explain the reasons for the delay in developing the registration, licensing, governance, and management of ECD centers to county governments. And lastly, outline any measures the national government is taking in collaboration with the county governments to ensure the full devolution of these functions in line with the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Senator Beth Siango. Thank you.
Senator Hamida Kibwana. Senator Chimera, you may proceed to read Senator Wakoli's request for a statement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the Honorable Senator David Wakoli, Senator for Bungoma County, I wish to request for a statement on the management of Kitinda Dairy Farmers Cooperative Society. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 531 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Trade, Industrialization and Tourism regarding the management of Kitinda Dairy Farmers Cooperative Society in Bungoma County. In the statement, the committee should, number 1, explain the governance structure of disclosing the names of the members of the management and supervisory committees, the respective number of shares held by these members, as well as the duration for which they have held the shares. Number 2, provide a list of all members of the cooperative society, indicating the number of shares held by each member and when they were last. 3, table the minutes of the most recent special or annual general meeting of the cooperative society, as well as the financial statements of the society for the last 2 years, specifying the respective incomes and expenditures. Number 4, outline the reforms undertaken by the current management committee since assuming control of the cooperative society, indicating the current vis-a-vis previous milk intake and debt portfolio. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, explain why the current managing appointed to the position despite having been previously dismissed from the society on fraud allegations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Tabitha Mutinda, you may proceed to read the statement by Senator Hamida Kibwana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of Senator Hamida Kibwana, I would like to read her statement on the rise of entertainment joints and nightclubs in residential areas within Nairobi City County. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee of National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations regarding the increasing number of entertainment joints and nightclubs operating within residential areas in Nairobi County. In the statement, the committee should, 1, determine whether the rise of this or regulatory gap and whether the relevant authorities are enforcing zoning laws effectively. Secondly, provide details on the licensing process for nightclubs and entertainment joints in residential areas and whether specific guidelines exist to protect residential zones from such commercial activities. 3, investigate the impact of these establishments on children and teenagers, particularly in terms of exposure to noise, inappropriate behavior, and social vices like drugs and substance abuse. 4, recommend measures to mitigate the negative effects of these establishments with a focus of protection of minors and maintainers of peace and safety in communities. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, establish the role of county and national government authorities in regulating such establishment and identify policy gaps that need addressing to enhance enforcement of laws and protection of residential areas. This is on behalf of Senator Hamida Kibwana.
Senator Mandago.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education regarding the placement of students in public and private universities. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide a status report on the number of students allocated to each public and private university in the last 3 intakes and the criteria used for such allocation, outlining the declared capacity of each university versus the actual student enrollment. 2, state the criteria used to determine the cut-off points for each course and explain the variance of cut-off points for similar courses across different universities. 3, disclose the budgeted and actual capitation dispersed to each university, along with total funding to public universities over the last 3 years. 4, report on the number of teaching staff in all public universities and confirm compliance.
Order, honorable senators.
4,
Majority Leader should take a lead in
4, report on the number of teaching staff in all public universities and confirm compliance with the approved lecturer to student ratio. 5, provide details of the number of students placed in private universities during the most recent intake, as well as policy documentations and approvals explaining the capacity and financial challenges faced by public universities as a result of this. 6, explain whether public participation was conducted before the decision by the government to place students in private universities. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
What is the issue, Majority Leader?
I want to bring it to your attention that
Senator Eddy, Senator Funandi, Senator Wakili Sige. As you take your seat, kindly read Standing Order 118. I'll come back to you later. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to make a humble request to you to maybe you indulge us as a House, given that we have very important legislative business that we want to transact this afternoon at this Division of Revenue, that given that we have the requisite quorum in the House at this time, if you may permit, Speaker, in accordance with Standing Order number 1, that we do conduct that particular exercise, then we can revert back to statements immediately we are done. This is important, Mr. Speaker, given that counties continue to await the decision of Senate on this matter before, and there's still a long way out, especially given how the vote may turn out in the Senate, that may necessitate many other processes. So I want to humbly plead that if we may do that right now.
Very well. Pursuant to Standing Order 45-2 of the Convention.